Afternoon, folks. I'm H Cannon. I work with Bellamy Strickland Commercial Trucks in McDonough, Georgia. Today I'm going to introduce you to the game changer by Isuzu. This is an FTR chassis. This is a Class 6 truck that's going to be a game changer for you and me. This vehicle is more than capable to do the requirements that your business has for it in many different ways. Some things I'd like to point out right away. FTR chassis is a 25,950 gross vehicle weight rating chassis. It has a combined weight rating of 30,000 pounds, so you can tow that extra needs that you might have on that job. Some of the nice key features in the front of it are this easy lift front hood area. When you're doing your initial check your washer fluid with a glance, let it go, you're good to go. They've got an available chrome grille if you like to fancy it up a little bit. We also have tow hooks for that when you need to pull some of your equipment out, or that one chance where you have to take this to the shop. We're ready for you to go. Some of the neat features. On the roof, there's rain channels on either side. I'm sure you've had the occasion where you were pulling up to a stop sign and your whole windshield and all your visibility was gone because of all the water flow coming off of you. Well, Isuzu considered that. They designed it so it deflects the rain to the edges, and there's channels that bring it right down the side of the windshield out of your main field of vision. And if it's still quite a bit, you've got the triple wiper system with wet arm wipers to put the fluid where you need it to clean your windshield. Now, the tilt cab design gives you a lot of things that can come important to you, such as visibility. Now, if you notice, I can see the driver's seat with ease from where I'm standing. That means they can see me. You've got a very short area where you have lack of visibility. Now, in a conventional truck, if you'll watch how far I'm walking out now, I would be about right here before you could see me in a conventional truck. Nice advantage of the cab over design. Now, if you'll follow me around the side here, I'll show you some things I kind of find important. A, you've got 5 mirrors standard on the FTR. You've got one where you can see down beside you on the curb. You've got a high visibility as well as a wide angle visibility. You have the availability of 102-inch wide mirrors, heated power mirrors. They're all available. And one neat feature about the Isuzu mirrors, let's say you're coming in and out of that warehouse, you get a little bit too tight to the edge and you push your mirror in. Well, it takes time to get those set. One nice thing Isuzu thought of, it's got a memory. It puts it right back where you had it set. Now, inside, first thing I'd like you to notice, you've got grab handles to enter with. If you look at these steps, they're self-cleaning steps. They have holes in the bottom of them, so you got those muddy feet, your workers getting in, they're not going to carry all that mud inside the vehicle. They can scrape it here, and you're good to go. If you notice how wide that door opened, that's a 90-degree opening. Allows very easy entry to the vehicle, very easy access to the grab handles. Now, inside the cab, this one is equipped with of course, the seat covers, and I do recommend them to all my customers. They help keep it looking like a brand new vehicle down the road. Plus, they're very durable. Now, you can seat 3 comfortably across the front, so instead of just being a 2-person cab like most conventionals, you do have full 3-person seating in the front. Now, inside, center seat does fold down, and it's got a workstation as well as storage. Behind the seat, you've got ample storage, so you can put a lot of your gear on that long drive, that long trip. Overhead, you have 2 door or trip records, real easy access. They're not going to be flying all over the cab where you can't find them. And as well as you've got a small glove box here, and it does fit a pair of gloves. Now, we equip all of them, it's an option, but we equip all of them with an internally mounted fire extinguisher and triangle kit to keep your DOT ready and DOT proper. Now, while I'm here, I want to point out these wheels. Now, if you notice, the wheels, they basically are hub-centric. That means when a mechanic is working on them, he doesn't have to fight to get the lug nuts all lined up, pull the wheel off. They're heavy. He can put it right back on, and the hub's going to center it, so you can just spin it to the lugs, and it's going to be where it needs to be. It saves time when it's in the shop. It's a lot easier to maintain that way. Now, this has what they call a 50-degree wheel cut. So when you turn that steering wheel all the way around, that gives you tremendous maneuverability. It also gives you access into the engine area when you're having to be a mechanic and having to work on it. A lot of things make this truck simple for the driver and simple for the maintenance department. Now, the front axle on these, they're equipped with a 12,000 pound Dana axle. It's a name you can trust, a name you know. The front tapered leaf springs, I don't know if you can see them with the camera or not, but the front tapered leaf springs, they're also 12,000 pound capacity. It's good to know you've got strength when you need it. Now, I mentioned the 50-degree wheel cut. What that gives you in real terms is if you compare this to a conventional truck, let's say you put it on say a 24-foot van body on the back of it. With this wheelbase, you've got, that would take a 212-inch wheelbase. That gives you a 56.5-foot turning radius. So you've got 56.5 foot for a turning diameter. Same thing in a conventional truck. That's going to get you about 64 feet. Plus you've got a longer vehicle, because remember, this is cab over. You'll have a longer nose on a conventional truck. So you have to have a longer truck to have the same size cargo capabilities. Now, as we start moving towards the back, a couple things that I wanted to point out. I mentioned how they're maintenance friendly. Well, this has a single stage Donaldson air filtration system. That filter's serviceable. You can pop it off with as few as 4 snaps, pull it out, shake it clean, put it back in. It means you don't have to buy an air filter every time you need to get a dirty air filter. That specific filter can be washed in water and reinserted once it's dried. So I usually recommend the owners have a spare on hand. That way they can keep one clean and keep one ready to go in the vehicle, and then get a long life out of their air filters. Small thing, but those small things add up to savings for your company. Now, this is a compact exhaust system. It's got the DPF and the SCR all contained in one unit. Very easy to get to, very self-maintainable with its regen cycle. And I just want to point out, it's very, very compact. So you don't have a tremendous amount of exhaust coming out from behind your vehicle. Coming a little bit further back, we've got the battery compartment. Now, on the FTR, it comes with 2 750 cold cranking amp batteries. You ever have to jump it, you can get to them pretty easy from just taking this lid off. And if you notice now they got the lid off, these little tangs right here, you line them up, and with the application of your own lock, you've got lockable batteries. So those sticky hands won't have your batteries disappear when you're least expecting them. Now, moving to the back, I'd like to point out the rear axles. Now, this uses a full Bendix air brake system. Bendix, once again, that's a name you can trust, a name you know. You've got 4-wheel anti-lock brakes, and this rear axle is a 19,000 pound Dana rear axle. Again, Dana, that's a name you know, a name you can trust. Now, the rear springs, if you notice how they're bolted, they're not just stuck on here with shackles, they're not stuck on here with a small bushing, they are bolted to the vehicle. That is a 21,000 pound capacity bolted multi-leaf rear spring suspension. The whole reason I'm pointing this out is so you know this truck is heavy duty. It's a Class 6 vehicle, but it's made to get you a lot of long life and durability. Coming around to the back, if you look down this frame rail, you'll notice how smooth it is and how flat it is. Well, this frame rail comes in 8 different wheelbases. And one reason I point out how flat it is, the body companies love that. When they're trying to mate a body to this truck, if you've got a lot of things in the way, like bolts sticking up, or you've got to have a raise or a drop where your axles are, it becomes a lot more complicated when you have to engineer a body to fit on it. The Suzu gives you a nice flat frame so that body companies can put a good body on there easily and more efficiently and cost effective for you. Now, I mentioned they have 8 wheelbases available. They range from as small as 152 inches for your 12 to 14 foot body, all the way out to a 248 inch wheelbase. That will accommodate as large as a 30 foot body. Now, when you think about that, you got a Class 6 truck with a 30 foot freight body on the back of it. You can do a lot of work on this truck. You can do a whole lot with this truck. Now, the width of it is important as well. They run a 33.5 inch wide straight frame. So when you have the accessories you have to mount underneath, you've got plenty of space to do it and still keep it inside your frame rail where it's safe and it's protected. Now, I mentioned it's got a Bendix full air brake system. This is the primary main tank for the Bendix air brake system. They have a secondary tank I'll point out later as we get it closer to the front of the frame. So you've constantly got air pressure in your system. Now generally what I have found is people that do a lot of stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, they're stuck in city traffic, they're concerned about the loss of their air brakes. But with the primary and the secondary tank, you shouldn't have that become a problem. So you don't have to worry about that with the primary and the secondary full air brake system by Bendix. You notice this large tank. Well, this particular truck is one of the larger wheelbases, and this one will come with a 100-gallon fuel tank, and it's an aluminum fuel tank. You'll get this size tank all the way from 188-inch wheelbase out to 248-inch wheelbase. They do have a smaller 50-gallon tank. It's also aluminum, and it's for our 152 to 170-inch wheelbases. Now, I mentioned that it uses the Bendix air brake system. Well, it also has a Bendix heated air dryer system on it. That keeps all the moisture from fouling your brake lines, fouling your brake system, so you can depend on your brakes when you need them. You don't have to worry about it. Right beside it, we've got what's known as, it's a sediment filter, and it also has a primer pump built into the sediment filter. The reason I wanted to point this out is because if you have that unfortunate time where you just quite use up that 50 gallons, 100 gallons of fuel, you run your tank dry, you're going to have a way to prime it. Well, we've got the pump built in right here to assist you with that. Now, underneath, easy grab point when you're doing your safety check before you take that drive, you've got one for the secondary tank so you can check your air pressure. You've got a second one for the primary tank in the back on the other side. Real easy to get to, real easy to check. That way you can do your quick walk around on them before you hit that road. On the side here, yes, they use DEF fluid. The diesel exhaust fluid is an important addition that they had required us to add to these vehicles for the emission systems on diesels. Now, one nice thing is diesel exhaust fluid has a shelf life. You don't want to have a lot of diesel exhaust fluid in your vehicle at one time. It does crystallize over time. This is a 4.2 gallon tank. Now, we can also equip it with an optional locking cap in case you want to make sure they don't put the wrong fuel in the DEF fluid tank. But that is an option. But on this tank, you can notice it's got an air bubble. It tells you how full it is. Now, usually until people have understood how long it takes them to need their DEF fluid, you've got a gauge on the dash to tell you, but you've also got this bubble. I recommend people, as they drive them, put in about half a tank. Don't fill it up all the way until they know how often they're going to need it. So that means don't use the pump DEF. Get you the small 2.5 gallon jug from the gas stations or from the hardware stores or parts houses. Keep that in your truck, and it's going to ensure you have fresh DEF fluid all the time. I think that's kind of an important thing to think of. But now we've got the cab over design. I wanted to show you how easy it is to access it. And we've got a yellow flag here that lets you know if you've accidentally left it open. When you climb in the vehicle, you see that yellow flag, you're going to know you left it open. Safety features usually thought of for your protection. But one handle to pull, drop your flag, release your cab lifts up. You notice I did that one-handed. It does not take a muscle man to lift this cab. You're secure when it's up. If you're concerned, you've got a locking pin you can insert to totally secure it while you're doing your work in here. Now again, I mentioned it's got a 50-degree wheel cut. This is where you can see the importance of that. Turn this wheel all the way out. As a mechanic, as somebody trying to check their vehicle, you can walk right into the motor and check everything. Check my oil that easy. I can see if I've got any moisture leaks, any problems with it that are visible. It's a real quick, easy, visible check. Speaking of visible, that's your coolant tank. Did I have to do anything special to get to it? No. I can see through it. I don't even have to touch it. I can tell if I got coolant in there or not. And of course, this is real easy to get to if you have to add. The reason I'm pointing that out, it's very easy to do your walk around before you take that drive. Now, underneath this hood, there's some pretty important features. First of all, you've got an Allison transmission. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Allison name. It's a famous transmission. In this vehicle, it's a very durable transmission. It's an Allison 2550 RDS 6-speed with double overdrive. It's got a power takeoff interface with an available button on your dash where you can get access to it. It's got optional idle shutdown on the motor and optional engine protection shutdown. So if you have that runaway motor, you can shut it down at a heartbeat. But anyway, the Allison 2550 RDS 6-speed double overdrive transmission. They've used transmissions similar to this in the GM vehicles for many years. They use them in the Hummer that the Army uses. It's been in school buses. It's a tried and true transmission. Isuzu is equipping it in this truck for you. Now the motor, this uses the Isuzu 4HK1TC. It's a 5.2 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This one produces 500. May not seem like that's impressive until you realize it's only 1600 RPM, but it's got 520 foot-pounds of torque. It's got your power when it needs it, where it needs it. We call that a flat torque curve. So once it builds its power, it maintains that power through the RPM range where you're going to be needing that power. That motor is a very dependable and durable motor. It carries a B10 rating of 375,000 miles. Isuzu expects that truck to be trouble-free for you for 375,000 miles. That's basically what that means. And that's a lot of driving. One other thing about maintenance on this is that motor only requires oil changes every 10,000 miles, and Isuzu is going to take care of those for the first couple of years for you at no charge. Now, inside the cab, once again, notice the easy grab handles, the self-cleaning steps. You've got a fully adjustable air suspension driver's seat with an armrest. Now, if you'll watch when I just put a little weight on it, it's going to kick in the air compressor, and it's going to tell it to accommodate my weight. And there I go, raising up. When I say fully adjustable, you've got leg bolster, you've got the angle of the seat, forward and back, of course. You've got a full recline seat. This is comfortable for the driver. That's the one that's most important. In the vehicle, we're going to take care of them. Now, it also comes equipped with power windows, power locks. It's got a tilt and telescoping steering wheel. You get it where you need it, lock it in place, you're good to go. It does have cruise control. There's a button opposite my hand with your set right here where you need it. Now, it's also been equipped with an AM/FM Bluetooth CD radio so that you can hook your cell phones in and not have to have them in your hand. We all know how important that is nowadays. There is an option for some high visibility seat belts. So if you do have that requirement in your company, yes, we can accommodate that. On your dash, you've got a multi-information display and an oil check switch. So if you're not sure what time, how much oil you've got in it, you don't have to pull your dipstick. You just push the button, see if you got oil. You can see when your next oil change is due. All that at the convenience of the driver's dash. So you can do most of your checks before you even get out of the vehicle. Now, Isuzu believes this truck's going to be a good truck for you. So much so they give you a 36-month, obviously 3 years, unlimited mileage warranty on the vehicle. Now, you have the options to extend that warranty. That warranty is, you can get it at 60 months, 200,000 miles. That covers the engine and it covers the emission system. And there are optional maintenance programs. Isuzu has programs out there that can guarantee what your cost of maintenance is going to be. It's kind of important because do you think your oil changes, do you think your tires, do you think your services are going to cost the same thing today that they will 5 years from now? No, I didn't think you did. Well, Isuzu will guarantee if you opt for their prepaid maintenance program that your services will be at today's prices throughout that full 5-year period or whatever term that you decide to choose from. So you can budget for your company with confidence knowing what it's going to cost you to maintain that vehicle over the next few years. Now, I think when you see the Isuzu FTR and you understand its capabilities with 25,950 gross vehicle weight rating, 30,000 pounds of combined weight rating, body sizes as small as 12 feet, you can get a 30-foot body on these chassis. I think you can agree with me that if you see what this truck can do for your fleet, it belongs in your fleet. Thank you for your time today.